Hey, great morning. I hope again you woke up grateful for your day. I hope that you've reminded yourself of all of the things to be grateful for. I hope you've set a high vibe. Hope that when you see limits, you're getting creative. And any obstacle, you're pushing past it and embracing the opportunity to grow as an individual. And, I hope that you're not reacting to things. I hope you're responding. I hope you're setting a high vibe. I hope you're getting the most out of your days. So I've invited Wendell to go live this morning because I'm back home. And he told me he is going to jump on. Um, you know, a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and a lot of people are having a hard time unshackling themselves from the past. So, you guys, I encourage you all, this is the way you do it. In order to get over what your past has been, you have to go back and take out the emotional charge out of how it's making you feel. You got to look at it. You got to accept it, and you got to infuse some love into it. Heal that part of your life. Don't try to go forward with anything that's shackling you from your past that doesn't make you feel good, because that remains. So you got to go back, and you got to heal the things in your life that don't feel so good. And that's how you move on. Okay? I didn't have my computer while I was away, but I went on my computer just now before I came live, and I've seen a couple of comments that were thrown my way, and I've seen a couple of messages sent to me also. With the life that I lived in my past, don't think for 1 second that it was hard, that it was easy for me to do what I've done. Okay? It was very difficult to go back in my life and look at every single thing that was very traumatic and very painful to endure, and have to relive that in order to infuse the love and the healing into it. It's not easy. But if I don't take that and own it and be accountable for that, well, nobody else can do that for me. So, yes, you do have to look back at stuff and heal it. Simple. Okay? But it's up to you. Like, what you need to understand this morning is, had I not done that work, there is no way that I would be feeling the way I am today. There's no way that I'd be sitting here saying, hey, my immune system works again. Hey, this stuff that was eating my face and that gave me that, look, you can even see it in my nose, like how much it had eaten in comparison, okay? Like, but I'm okay. How? Because I wanted to heal myself and fix my own thought processes about this. And hey, no doctor did that for me, okay? So, you guys, it's very important. If you want to feel okay now, you have to go and fix everything in your life that didn't make you feel okay to begin with. And yeah, that takes a lot of work. And yeah, life is going to distract you from that. And there's going to be things that you are already accountable for and responsible for. But if you don't take that time, well, then you're going to govern your experience from here on in based on what your past has been, because that's what your being is comprised of. So you can't want change for yourself and your life without fixing what has created your life to be this way. All right? Wendell's ready to come on. I'm going to get him on this morning. Yeah, so basically, look, just before he hops on, I encourage you all, take a look at whatever doesn't make you feel good and just fix it. That's all. Hey, great morning to you.
Hey, great morning to you too. How you doing?
I'm feeling refueled.
Yeah, I can tell. You had quite the weekend there. I saw your posts. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And it rained a lot
Things.
while we were there, but it was magnificent. Like now that I'm home and I'm on the computer, I'm going to post some more videos. There's one video of the rain falling. It
Oh, wow.
sounds like you're in the rainforest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was magnificent. But you could tell, my face, like I'm like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. I think it was the first one that you posted, and all I seen was just like green and water, and I was just like, wow, like she must be having a really good time out there.
Well, you know what? The first morning, knowing my immune system was working, I dove into that lake.
Oh,
I didn't
really?
give a shit about my heart problems. I didn't give a shit about what the doctor's telling me I can and can't do. I dove off the dock into the lake and I swam and I didn't stay in there for long because my heart, that was a lot of exertion for my heart.
Yeah.
But hey, what I felt off that water, Wendell, that lake feeds like other lakes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that water is new in that lake every 2 years because of how it's sourced.
Mm-hmm.
So what I pulled off of that, man, holy shit, I tell you. I had to though.
Yeah.
Because if I know I'm healing, I got to embrace it in its totality and get the most out of it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how you doing? How's the past couple of days been?
It's been okay. I finished up that training there that I was doing, so that was kind of good. What else? I kind of took some Advil for that little kink that I was having in my back there, so it kind of worked because I feel a little bit better. And then I had to yesterday they asked me, they said if I wanted to stay at that location but work nights, and I was just like, no, I don't work nights. And I told these guys I don't work nights because it's just not for me. And he just kept going on and on and on. This guy, Mo, the superintendent there, and he was the one. It's funny because he was the one that actually helped promote me to a foreman. But at the same token, every time we work together, we're always button heads. Like he's this puffy chest Moroccan guy. No matter what you tell him, you're wrong. He's right. Worst person to work with. Worst person to work with. But But I just kind of bit my lip, did what I had to do, and then yesterday he was just like, "So the training's done. What do you want to do? Like, do you want to stay here and work as a safety watch, or?" And I'm like, said, "I think I'll call dispatch and see if they have any other jobs for me because, yeah, I don't think I could stay there. you know, like working with him would be every day. We'd be fighting every day, and I mean, it's I mean, it's a good job and a good pay and everything, but no, like I would probably stay there for like 2 3 days, and then after that, I'd be like, peace out. I gotta get out of here. Or I might say something I might regret, and then end up getting fired. And I was like, no.
So what's your plan?
Well, my plan is I have to take the truck back today. So yeah, so after we do this, I'm gonna go and send the truck back, get my car, and then I'm gonna call dispatch and I'm gonna tell them what they got going, and then decide from there. Because if they um, if they send me out, then it's gonna be a little bit more tricky to do these videos because I would start at 6:30, right? So I would have to get up like
Listen, we can always do them later on in the day. Life takes us all over the place. Like, look, I just peeled on you for 4 days. We
yeah.
do things that we have to do for ourselves, and the lives will be there when we return.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And if
Um,
you know what, mornings don't work, hey, if you wanted to do it every evening, you know what? We could do that. We could do whatever.
yeah.
But I would like to get on some events.
Okay.
I would like to get on that man versus woman event that you were putting together.
Yeah.
And I would also like to have a Saturday night comedy event. And it sounds crazy, but yeah, I think we all need a good laugh. There's a lot of people going through some thick of the
That is
shit.
true. Yeah.
So what I was thinking is putting it out there that anybody who would like to be, let's say, just I don't know. I know that I could say some sick, twisted stuff to get people to laugh, and I'm sure you could do the same, and I'm sure we could get a couple of others to do the same. But I just want to start maybe putting on some events
Hmm.
because the fall is setting in, and yeah, seasons, transitions, a lot of things happening, and I'm feeling like yeah, I think maybe we need to start planning some events.
Yeah, I need to start planning snow tires. Ugh, not looking forward to that, but whatever. Um, well, I still got 2 months. So
Yeah, well, listen, I'd really like this You Matter the Most to start flying with the coaching.
yeah,
So now that I've gotten to the point where I'm at, now you see, before when you were asking me, oh, what's going on with you, and I couldn't tell you, and I'm just going to be grateful for every day because I
yeah,
didn't want to throw a curveball into my healing.
yeah. Okay.
So now that my immune system is functioning, and now that my face, you see my face, I'm
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
I'm back. And that was against all odds. The doctor's telling me, Toby, you got roughly 3 months if this stuff eats through to your brain. And hey, I'm looking at another 30 years. So this is now, it changes my ballpark.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? And I'm super
yeah.
blessed and I'm
Totally.
super grateful.
Yeah,
But I couldn't really do anything concrete, not knowing if I was going to survive this or not.
right.
I was building it, yes, but in hopes of it fueling me to push for my healing, which I did. Now I've healed. Now it's time.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas before I couldn't because I didn't know. I didn't want to. Yes, I did the page and everything and put that up and put the team together. But I did that in a way so that should anything go sour for me, that you guys could still use that platform. Swear to God. I
Yeah,
wasn't, you know what I mean? But now
yeah. I know what you mean.
I'm healed. And I took the time to go away,
Mm-hmm.
rejuvenate myself, come back. So now
That's a good
it's
idea.
going to change the ball game with the You Matter the Most. Okay.
Yeah, good, good stuff.
So I need you to feel a little confident where that, because yes, we don't have things rolling yet the way it should be, but the pause was, I needed to heal.
Yeah, that's something that had to happen. Of course, of course.
So now we can go on full head of, and there's things too. You know what? That's why if your schedule doesn't allow for us to do lives in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
embrace it. Do what you got to do. We will figure it out. How lives, because I know that they help you and they help me
Yeah,
and they help everybody else.
yeah. More importantly, yeah.
So basically, we'll figure it out, Wendell.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
So basically you're going to return the truck. You're going to hit dispatch. This position you're looking at. You start at 6:30.
Usually, if I work the day shift, then yeah, I start at 6:30.
How long does it take you to get to work?
Well, it depends on where I go. So there's
Okay,
certain
okay. So it's
locations that they have like, camps that are like 10, 15-minute drives away from site. Some of them are 30 minutes, so it depends.
okay. So it's still doing the training thing though.
Um, well, this would probably be because again, I don't know what's going on because we talked about a lot of things, like when I was doing the instruction, I was speaking with Dave, who was my boss, and he took he mentioned something about um like going on site with the new hires and coaching them, like being like, and I told him and I said, it's funny because I called like two or 3 months ago and I asked them if they had any type of position like that where I would just be just going to camp to camp to camp to camp to camp and then going to the people who just started and just kind of shadowing them, like watching how they're doing their job, making sure they're doing it properly. If they have any questions, going through the process with them just so that they understand that they what the process is. And he's like, oh, he goes, that's a good idea. I actually brought that up to upper management, and I'm still waiting to hear back from them. So he's still waiting to hear back from them. And then what was the other thing? There was something else. And then because he told me, he said, don't worry. He goes, after you do the instruction, then we're gonna get you out because we have to get you out there to make some money. Because they took me out of this pool to go for jobs to do this instructional training. So that's why they said, okay, well, don't worry, we took you out of the pool, but now we're gonna put you back in, and you're gonna have priority because you were available. It was just that you were doing the instruction. I said, okay. So we'll see. We will see.
Changes.
Yeah, yeah, changes are good.
They're
It's funny.
exciting. They're
Yeah, and
exciting.
it's funny. It's funny because in like 20, I think it was 2016 or 2015 when I moved to Ottawa, I did not like change at that point because it was like so many things that you had to think about and adjust to, and you're out of your comfort zone. Now you got to be uncomfortable for months at a time until you get comfortable, and then if you're not comfortable, then now it's really hard to go back to your old the way that you were going at before, right? So you're never like the same when you go through change, never. So I've learned now, like when I was coming here, I said, okay, this one I'm gonna embrace because, for one, it's a city that I've never been in ever, and I've heard so much about it. My daughter was out here, so there was a little bit of, okay, well, I don't really need friends at this point because if my daughter's there, I could just hang out with my daughter. And it's funny because when I came out here, it's been what, 6 years, almost 6 years now that I've been out here. And I'd say out of the 6 years, time wise, I would say there was out of those 6 years, like maybe a year I've spent with my daughter, because she was always going to school or going out with friends. I was always busy, so we were never like, when I see my brother, because my brother, he has a son, and him and his son always used to hang out like tight because he used to live just up the street. So they were always hanging out. And I'm just like, I envy you, He's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, you can see your son anytime you want. Like me, I have to wait until my daughter is available or when I'm available, or when we're both available. It's a little bit more complicated, but it is what it is. Like, but his son is grown too, right? Like he's like 26 or 27. So yeah, he's a big boy now. And my daughter, she's still young. Right? So, but apart from that, it's like everybody everybody says a bunch of stuff and they're like, you're always all over the place and it seems like you're not stable and and I'm just like, you know what? Like it's not even about not being stable because right now I am stable. I have a solid job, consistent work. It may not be all year round, but at least it's consistent. It's seasonal consistent, and I'm okay with that. I have a place over my head. I've been here for since February, so March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months already. Jeez, time flies. But anyway, so and I came in here with the expectation that I'm just gonna stay here for a couple months and maybe change it up. But again, when you get into this routine and you're comfortable and things are working, like why are you gonna change that, right? Some people they they don't understand that you go from struggling to being comfortable. Now you're comfortable and now you want to be okay, but you don't realize that comfortable sometimes is okay, you know like you know it's like it's like why do you have to go to okay when comfortable is okay. And even people will tell me, they're like, well, are you gonna move, are you gonna find another job? I'm like, why am I gonna find another job? Like, I'm making like 26, 27 bucks an hour at times. I've never made that money in my entire life. Why am I gonna, oh, you can make more. Yeah, but I could also make less. you know, like why am I gonna, no, I'm not throwing this away unless if I find something that pays me more. Of course, I'm not gonna sit there and just be like, yeah, no thanks. Of course, I'm gonna take it, but why am I gonna go lower? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just some people just their mentality is just a little out there. A little out
I
there.
get it.
Well, overall, and it's like a lot of things are happening. Like my friend we were just talking about this yesterday, and she was like, how do you do it? And I said, what do you mean? And she pretty much knows what's going on in my life because, again, I'm not really private about certain things. So for some things I am, but for the most part, like I share my life with all my friends. I like all my friends to know what's going on with me. If they're rather than they ask somebody, hey, like I haven't heard from Wendell. What's going on with Wendell? I would rather have it out there. So people see, oh, okay, Wendell's doing good, or oh, shoot, Wendell's dealing with something. Here, let me reach out to him. So, like, you know, for the most part, I got my job. I got my place. I'm not worried about that part, you know. Then I was having the little pain in my back. Then I was having, the issue. Not, it wasn't really an issue, but just that struggle with going from training straight to trip to on-site training. You know, no gap in between that I could kind of process things and then do it. I just had to dive into it, which was good because again, it was really fresh. And also it made me fresher because, the more I'm doing this stuff now, the more I'm like, okay, like if I was to go out in the field, like I said, I could just, I could do it blindfolded now. But and then, my caddy gets told, then my aunt lost her mind. Like she was struggling with Alzheimer's there. So she had a little episode that was a little much for me to deal with. Then my dad, he's starting to, like, he's going into a facility now. So, and he's also getting a little bit of, you know, health issues, then, what else? Like it was just thing after thing after thing after thing, right?
Can I cut in here for a sec?
Yeah, sure.
You see everything that you just listed? I want you to understand how much power that you do have, because most people only have to deal with one of those situations at a time. And you have had
Absolutely.
to deal with all of them
Mm-hmm.
loaded on top of your plate all
Mm-hmm.
at once.
Yeah.
So I salute you, Wendell, because you're sitting here still and you haven't lost it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And a lot of people
Seriously,
have
I fucking salute
thank
you,
you.
man.
No, thank you. And a lot of people have asked me that too, and I said, you know what? It's like this. You know, they're like, oh, you know, are you seriously 51 years old? I'm like, yeah. It's like, so what's your secret? And I said, well, my secret is this, is that, when stuff comes at you and you want to deal with it, I always have to, I always look at it and I say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to react to this. I know what's going on, but I'm not going to react to this. I'm just going to let the energy do what it has to do, and everything will settle itself out. What I can do, okay, I have a phone bill that's $300. My rent is $1,800, and I'm getting paid $900. So what am I going to do? I'm going to give 900. I'm going to pay half my rent and be left with nothing, or am I going to take care of my phone bill, get that out of the way, and then manage with what I have left, put it aside so that when I do get the rest of that 1900 or get up to 1900, then I'll pay the 1900, right? So it also deals a little bit with money management because some people think like, oh, uh, I have to pay everything, right? But if you pay a little bit of something or half of something or not even that, like just kind of budget your income in a way that what I usually do is I take the first 2 weeks and I pay all my bills, even if I'm left with nothing, because I know the next 2 weeks that I get, then I don't have anything to pay. So the whole check comes to me, right? And then I decide what to do with it. I can say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get ahead on this car payment, and I'm gonna leave that in the account for my next car payment. Or I have a loan payment, so I'm gonna make two payments to get ahead on my loan payments, and then leave the rest in. So this way, when I'm going out to the store and stuff, oh shoot, I forgot, I don't have any milk. I could just run to the store and get milk, Or oh, I ran out of, oh, I need gas in my car. Oh, so I just fill up my tank. I'm not that guy that puts $20 every single time. If I have no choice, then yes, I'll do that. But I'm the guy that fills up the tank all the time. They always say, oh, it's not good to do that, but whatever. It's good for me. It's good for me to do it because then it's one less headache, right? I don't have to worry about, oh shoot, I have to call in sick at work tomorrow because I don't have gas and I have no money. There's one time where I had to like go to my boss and say, hey, I'm having a little situation here. I'm not sure if I can come in tomorrow. And he's like, why, what's going on? Then I tell him, luckily I have that rapport with my boss that he was just like, you know what? Here, take the gas card and we'll just take it out of your paycheck. And I'm like, perfect, you know? So, but, but again, like, I don't like to get to that. Like, I'm that independent guy. I don't like asking people for help at all, because I know everybody's struggling, right? You don't want to take from somebody who's already struggling, even though they tell you, "Oh, I'm good." You're like, "Yeah, but no, I don't like that feeling." And then also, you have that psychological way of thinking, like real people. If somebody helps me out, I'm gonna help them back, or I'm gonna give it back to them whenever I have it. And there's a lot of people that tell me, "Oh, don't worry about it," Yeah, I'm not sweating about it. Like whenever you get it, and I'm just like, no, I don't like that feeling of, you know, I don't want to get that message, hey, how's it going? Yeah, so remember 2 months ago when I lent you $20? I'm in a situation now. Do you have it? And I'm just like, I don't like to be that guy. I really don't. So I like to, so I'm saying all this just to get to the point that I don't put as much stress on financial stuff as a lot of people do. A lot of people have to stress out about, oh, I got to make my mortgage payment. Oh, I got to make this payment. I got to make that payment. I got to make sure my kids have money. I have to make sure that money's put away. If you just go and do your job and you get your pay and you just leave it in there and then you just take, like, I don't know. Like me, what I usually do is I have a prepaid card which has $300 limit on it, and I just put the $300 on that card, and that's my lifeline for the month, because I don't really shop. I don't buy things unless I have to. I don't really need stuff like couches or beds and all that stuff. Like I have a whole bunch of furniture, so I'll just use that to just go to the store, or if I have to do a little grocery, I'll do a little grocery with it. I'll put gas, or yeah, and then that's what I'm limited to. Not to say that I'm putting limitations on myself, but I'm just saying so that I don't exceed spending, or that I don't use money, that I don't have to take money from my bills to pay to do stuff, right? So,
Well, were you mentioning, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong,
mhm.
but I believe that a couple of lives ago when we were talking, you were saying that your work is a lot of your hours are more or less part-time-ish. Is that right, or are they full-time?
So it's not a full-time position, it's seasonal. So how it works
Okay.
is this. So I usually, depending on the client, I usually start
Mm-hmm.
work, because there's two periods. So one's called shutdown and one's called turnaround. So shutdown is when all the plants shut down. That's why they call it shutdown. And then they start going into the vessels and stuff to see what needs to be done, like what needs to be fixed, or if there's any maintenance. Sometimes they have yearly maintenance that they have to do. So during that shutdown, they need to go into these places and do this stuff, and they still need like safety watch to go in there. So I'd work shutdown. Then
Okay.
once they realize what's going on, and they figure out what they need to do, then it goes to turnaround. So then you go into the turnaround, and then the same thing. So we have to do the safety watch for those people who are going in there to do the maintenance, whether it's hot work, or welding, buffing, or just scaffolding and that kind of stuff, right? So from February till uh, August, that's one period. Then it stops till like September, October, and then late October starts picking up again. So from October till like January, February, maybe March. And then again, it stops for like about a month or two. Some places start right away. So April, they'll start again. And then it's just a repeating process. That's all it is.
Okay.
And then who I work for, they have a few clients. So but then they also lost a few clients too. So that's why they're doing this whole um, mass hiring thing, because the thing was that they were sending out people too early. So they were too, the term they use is too green, meaning like they're too
Yeah.
new. So they don't have experience. And now we're trying to give them the experience, but now they're making crucial mistakes, so which is kind of affecting the reputation of the company. So so that's why they kind of came to me with this thing, and I just told them, and I said, I do coaching on the side, so this is nothing. This is a walk in the park. Plus, I said, you can ask my former foreman, like they'll tell you, because they can vouch for me. There's many times where they told me, hey, Wendell, can you go do an evaluation on this person? And I go and I do the evaluation, and I'm watching how they're working, and I said, no, like that's not how you do it. This is how you do it, right? And then they go out, and I bumped into a couple of them actually a couple of days ago, and they're like, hey, Wendell, how's it going? I'm like, oh, shoot, how are you? I said, I didn't know you were going to be on this project. And they're like, yeah, by the way, thanks for all that stuff that you showed me. Like, I understand what you're saying now. And I said, yeah, that's what I was telling you. You had to go out there in order to understand it. In the classroom, it's like, oh, it's a lot of information. But when you go out there and you actually see it, now you understand. So then one of the guys was like, yeah, they're actually talking about wanting to put me as a foreman. And I said, yes. I said, but the reason why is because right now they're looking for a lot of foremen, but you're not gonna be a foreman tomorrow. Like you're gonna have to wait like at least a year or two. You got to go on at least 2 or 3 more projects. But just keep doing what you're doing because that's a good sign. That means that you're doing a good job. That means they're looking at you. So keep doing it. And he's like, oh, thank you so much, man. He goes, it's all because of you. And I said, no, 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 it's not because of me. It's because of you. I just helped you bring out what it is that you were doing. That's all it was, you know? So that's how I came to the conclusion. I was like, oh, okay, you know? And even like my foreman, they tell me, they're like, Wendell, like you did an evaluation on 20 people. Like ever since you've done the evaluation on them, they're getting better at their job. I said, well, yeah, of course they are because like not to toot my own horn, but you know, I know how to explain this stuff to people. You know, people most of the people there they don't care just because money, right? So they figure, oh, I'm making $40 an hour, I'm a foreman, so do this, do that, do this, do that. Why are you doing that wrong? Right? So that's how they think a foreman is supposed to act, right? So I'm like going to them and I'm saying, okay, you know what, come, what are you struggling with? Oh, well, I just don't understand this. Okay, here, let me explain it to you. And I try to explain it to them as simple as possible. And the last training I did, it was funny because one of the guys came to me and I was like just vaping at the pit there, and he comes to the pit and he's like, hey, he goes, what was your name again? I said, Wendell. And he's like, Wendell. He's like, you're a good trainer. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, you're a really good trainer. I like the way that you break it down, the way that you explain it. Like you make it sound so simple. And I said, wow. I said, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that. I said, I'm just starting to do this training here. Like, I've trained before and I've done mentoring, but I've never done actual, instruction like in front of people and stuff. So thanks. That makes me feel really good. And he's like, oh no, you got this. You got this. So it's like, so now this is somebody who doesn't know me from Adam. He was just in one of my SCBA classes, and he just said that. So I'm like, okay, And then there was a couple other times where I've seen guys, and I was struggling, not struggling, but I stumbled on certain things, and they were telling me, you know, are you sure like that's the way you're supposed to be done? Because we were taught a different way. I said, well, United Safety does things a little bit more differently. And then he's like, no, I'm pretty sure that's not the right way. And like he was like challenging me, right? So I was just like, oh shoot. And I felt a little bit intimidated. I'm not gonna lie. I felt a little bit intimidated. And then I just kind of said, okay, you know what? I said, when we do the practical, I'll explain it to you a lot better. So we were doing the practical and then we put them on air. And when you put your regulator on properly, you're supposed to breathe and you're not supposed to hear the air go, psst. So the proper way was to click, turn, and then put it onto your mask, right? So that same guy who knew everything, right, put it on and psst, and I was like, oh, I said, what's going on over there? I was like, what's going on over there? And I said, I thought you were talking like you knew how to do this stuff. And he's like, oh no no no, it's just because maybe there's something wrong with your regular. I said, no 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 no. I said these are fresh out the bags. Like we sterilize them. These are brand new. They've never been out in the field. Like there's something you did wrong. So then after he was like, so then I said, just do it the exact same way that I told you, and that wouldn't happen. So he did it, and he pulls it off, and there's no sound. So I'm like, he's like, so why you guys do that differently? I'm like, I can't answer that question. All I can say is this is the policy of United Safety. That's how we do it, and that's how we do it. Like I can't explain it anymore. So he was like, oh, okay. And then he just kept challenging me. And then at the end of the class, I was giving the results, and then I gave him his test back, and he had like a 90 something percent. And then after I was like, good job. And he's like, yeah, thanks. And he's like, oh, hey, by the way. And I was like, so I stopped and I looked at him, and he's like, sorry about busting your balls there. He goes, I was being a little complicated there, and I apologize. And I was just like, yeah, don't worry about it. I was like, wow, this guy apologized. So little things like that. It was interesting to see. So it was a good experience. I mean, like I said, I kind of know how to do it now, and especially now with the training. Like if they were to call me, let's say, I don't know, in a month or two, and say, hey, Wendell, we need you to do instruction. Now I know how to do it. So so yeah, and this one was
Okay, so
on
then on
site.
top of it all, this is what got you to this. We mentioned all everything on your plate, and then we got back to work, the work topic. I didn't want to interject, but I'd like you to tell people that, yeah, change. What are you doing to get through the change, Wendell? There's a lot of shit happening on your end. What are you doing to get through it all?
So,
Enlighten everybody listening and who's going to watch the replay. Because people need to understand that we all have stuff in our life.
yeah. And the thing too is like, you know, um, to a certain degree, we do choose our battles, right? To a certain degree. But for the most part, we don't. So, you know, when we're when we're dealing with, you know, for example, work and family life and, you know, what do you call it? Like your time, you know, like recreational time, you know, and you try to balance it all, it can be a very huge challenge. So, how I usually deal with stuff is simply this: I try my best not to let people get to me. And I know some people it's hard for them because, you know, they're very sensitive, they get angry quickly. They sometimes, some people actually like to react to certain things in a way that, you know, they're like, oh, I wish this guy would come at me, or I wish this person would say something at me so that I can just explode on them. Now, yeah, it's healthy in a sense that you're getting all of it out of you, but there's no process as to how it's coming out. So you might say something that you can't pull back, you know. Once it's out there, it's out there. And if you're the type of person that you're very aggressive with your wording, or, you know, kind of like I won't say any names, but you know, when people just say things that, you know, they really don't give a rat's toot about, and if it comes
Well, I'm
out,
like that.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. That's, I'm
But
like, I
that's
wonder
not a
if this,
bad thing. Imagine me
no,
trying to bottle that shit up, Wendell. Holy fuck.
it's it's not a bad thing per se, but sometimes there's people that on the other end, you know, they take that differently. Even though you may say like, oh well, that's just me, or you know, like you could talk to people before and say like, oh, and people be like, yeah, you know what, that person's kind of loud, or yeah, you know what, that person just speaks their mind, and be careful, you know, you never know what they're gonna say. Don't take offense to it. The list goes on. But at the same token, it's like we have to have a handle on our emotions, because sometimes your emotions get a little bit carried away with you. Like me, I'm not that type of person, but I know there's a lot of people that, you know, once they get going, it's like, you know, like for example, this guy that I'm working with or was working with, you know, he would just like, he'd take that one thing that knows it bugs you, and he just keep rolling with it all day long and just laugh, laugh, laugh. And I'm just like, buddy, like small things amuse small minds, eh? And then he's like, oh, okay, so that's your comeback, that's your comeback. And then he'll repeat again. He goes, so remember when you called in? And I'm like, dude, I'm like, why do you keep bringing it up, you know? And
And that's
it's,
why I am the way I am. Do you think somebody could play with me all day? Oh,
no,
no, no, no, no. I will I will defuse that immediately with a comeback that will crush their every belief system.
yeah. But
I
what I'm
don't
saying,
let people play with me. So that's a
but
good
what,
thing about me.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, with some people, you have to choose who you're gonna come back to, right? Because there's some people that you're like, okay, if I say something, even though I know like I'm not being serious, like I could joke about it, but they might not take it as a joke. So I'm gonna keep quiet about it, because it's easier for me to be quiet and save myself a possibility of getting fired, because that is a possibility. I'm not gonna lie. And you know, and then sometimes when they want you to reply, the best reply is nothing, you know, because now they look stupid and they're like, oh well, Wendell, what do you got to say about that? I'm like, what? Like, oh, what do you say about it? Oh, I'm just busy working, man, I'm sorry, you know, I don't really, you know, I don't reply to small comments like that, you know. And then they're like, oh, and then they realize afterwards, oh shit, like this guy really made me look stupid, kind of thing. So that's how I come back at it.
But you know something? That's why I encourage everybody to be loving in everything that they say and they do.
Of
Because
course.
I can be so loving telling somebody off that they never take it as anything but, oh, Toby was really loving to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mean come at people in a way that's hurting people. I
Right.
speak truthfully every single time I open my mouth. I do not lie. I don't care who's in front of me, and how they take it is not my business.
That's right. That's exactly what it
I
is
come
too.
with love all the time. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm loud. Yes, I'm hard to listen to sometimes
Yeah.
because people don't want to hear the truth. That's
Yeah.
not something wrong with me. That's something wrong with them.
That's right. And it's
So
funny
as
because
long as I'm loving,
yeah, because this guy too,
because
like,
that's on me.
yeah. So this guy, when he was coming at me, it was like, I told him, he's like, "Oh well, why are you so rude?" And I said, "I'm not rude." I said, "You're rude coming at me, and I'm just responding to what you're giving me. So obviously, I can't respond. I mean, I could respond kindness when rudeness comes at me, but you obviously have no clue that you're being rude. So I have to remind you, that you know what, like you're being a little rude right now. Not in those words per se, but by the way that you answer me. Like he's like, well, how come you don't know this? I'm like, what do you mean? How come I don't know that? Like, how am I supposed to know that if you don't tell me? Oh, well, why are you being so rude? I'm like, I'm not being rude. I'm replying to how you're talking to me. Like, why are you
But
talking to
that's
me?
it.
It's
People
reflective.
think, people think that you
Yeah,
being real is
exactly.
being rude. And that's
Exactly.
why people have a hard time hearing me because I speak the truth and people don't like it. So, therefore, Toby's a bitch. Toby's hard to listen to. Toby's this. Toby's that. Instead of saying, hey, you got, you know what? You're just not receiving of anything good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, don't let people tell you you're rude if you're being real, eh?
Of course. Of course. And like this guy, he's the type of guy that he just wants you to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right. I'm wrong. Like, like
Hey,
he's,
Trish, sorry. I love it. Yes, right. Exactly, Toby. Yeah. No, but seriously, fuck that. And you know something, Wendell? I don't go, just like you, because I already know you don't go looking for problems and you don't go looking to fuck up people's days.
ew.
So when that shit comes at you, oh, deal with that shit head on. That's the
Oh,
difference.
oh yeah, and he's like, there's a couple times where he was just like, "Yo, come outside, let's talk," and I'm like, "Sure." So I talked to him, and he's like, "Buddy, what's with the attitude?" I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa." I said, "First of all, I said, let's stop right there, because you are misconceiving everything here." I said, "It has nothing to do with attitude." I said, "If you want to talk about attitude, you might want to look in the mirror first, because I reply to what's given to me. If you're going to be rude to me and you're going to talk to me in a disrespectful way, I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm going to make sure that you are aware that you're disrespecting me." So it's like, "Oh, well, how am I disrespecting?" I say, "You know how you're disrespecting me, because I made it very clear to you. Like, if I react a certain way, now that you're pulling me outside to talk to me about this stuff, like, but you don't mention that, hey, I'm sorry if you took the way that I spoke to you offensively, and I apologize. I've never heard him apologize from you ever. But yeah, you keep doing this all the time. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know if it's the way you are. I really don't care what the reason is. But the thing is that I don't have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like that we have this thing where you have the right to refuse work, the right to deny, the right to accept things. Well, my right to accept your behavior right now is denied, because I am not
Yeah.
accepting that straight up. And he's like, "Oh, okay. So basically, what you're telling me is that you're just gonna give me attitude." I'm like, if you're in a management position and you have people working under you and you're gonna do this all the time, then you're very controlling. Like, you have to understand that people are gonna say what they're gonna say, and they're gonna feel a certain way they're gonna feel. Just because you can joke around with somebody and make them feel this big and think that it's a joke, and expect the other person to be like, "Ha ha ha, you're funny, Mo. Thanks." No, it's not gonna
But
happen.
guess what? People don't do that who are happy in their own skin.
And that's what it is.
People who are happy and whole individuals, they don't go around trying to insult and break down other people. They don't.
Exactly. Exactly. you know. And he's like, one time he was like, "Oh, you don't know how to talk to me." And I said, "Listen, Mo," I said, "I'm a life coach." I said, "I know how to talk to everybody." I said, "I know how to talk to every single person on this planet. I can look at you for 5 minutes and I can know, oh, I can't talk to this person, or yep, I could talk to this person. I know. So don't tell me I don't know how to talk to you. A. B, you seem to have this ego, this attitude that you think that you are superior to everybody and everybody is just supposed to be like, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm not that guy.
Jennifer Pilon, you're right. Yeah, I see here bullies. Yes, because they're not good in their own skin. So they feel that bullying another makes them feel good. It
Absolutely.
does. They feed off of the reaction that they're getting. That's what happens because, again, they're not getting positive attention. So they are creating negative attention. So these are people that are lacking love and attention in their life. So they go out and bully people because, hey, then there's interaction, whether it's unhealthy or not. Sorry, Wendell. But
No,
yeah, these people like this guy we're explaining, yes,
yeah.
he's a bully if he's picking on you all the time.
Yeah, Jennifer Peel, I've known her for 24 years, by the way. That's one of my good friends.
Oh,
But
yeah?
oh yeah, she's like my bestie, one of my
Oh, yeah,
besties.
that's your friend.
Yes,
I
yes.
forgot about that. Hey, I forgot about that. No, but
So
seriously, like, you know what? I may be loud, and yes, I may be truthful, and I may be friggin' real, but I don't go around trying to hurt people in any shape, way, or form.
and that's what it is
That's the
too.
difference.
Yeah, and that's what it is too, because people think like, you know, oh, if this person is loud, that oh, automatically they're ignorant or they're abusive or verbally abusive or
Yeah, but
whatever the
that's
case may
not
be.
the case.
It's not the case. It's like, some people need to understand that, just because somebody is loud, you know, people are loud because they want to be heard or they were misunderstood for some strange reason or for whatever
Or
reason
they're half deaf like me.
or they're half deaf. So like they need to just dumb down that assumptive part to him. Like this guy, he'll like everything is policy, 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 right? And I get it. I get it. And I tell him, I
Well,
said,
then you know what? He needs to open the policy to communications between coworkers
and that's what I was
and
getting at.
reread his policy on that.
And that's what I was getting at. I'm like, you speak about this policy, but you don't know how to talk to your staff. Like, that's abusive. That the way you're talking to your staff is abusive. The reason why nobody says anything is because they're afraid of you, or because of the way that you're talking to them. You come off like very threatening. So anyway, yeah. So that was just another thing. Like, and the thing too is he was the one that was kind of mostly responsible for me to become a foreman. So I have no choice but to, like it's like I'm in a rock and a hard place. It's like, okay, this guy gets on my nerves, and I can't really tell him that he's disrespecting me. But at the same token, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be making this money that I'm making right now. So, and I think that's what it is too. He knows that.
Actually, hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. I want you to correct your speech on that. You see, you just said, well, it hadn't been not for him, I wouldn't be making the money that I am. Guess what? He may have alerted them to look at you, but it is because of you that you are
Yes,
making that kind
yes,
of money.
yes.
And
Okay,
don't you
yeah, but
ever
I meant
hand that to anybody else.
okay.
Please,
No, no,
thank
no. I
you.
get, I get what you're saying, but
Okay? Own your
that's not what
greatness,
I meant.
Wendell,
But
and nobody else can be you. Simple
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I get it. Um,
And I'm sorry to throw it at you like that, but yes, these are the reactions that I have to something that doesn't jive right for me. And
yeah,
people don't like it. So that all of a sudden, oh, I'm aggressive and I'm not understanding and I'm not compassionate. And haha, yeah, right. You see what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
So
for me, I had to throw that out like that. That's how my response is, and it's greater than me.
mhm, yeah. So like you say, you have to address it right away, otherwise you forget it or something. Like,
Yeah. But yes, now this guy, so this is the same guy now that you don't want to have to work with.
well, this is the guy, because and this is the main reason why. So when I first got there, right, he was just like, because he always does this. He's like, "Oh, do you want to stay here?" Because he always tries to pass the buck. There's a couple times where he did this to me, where he had to take care of that location, And then he's like, "Oh, I gotta leave. You want to take over?" And I said, "No, not really." And he's like, "Well, you can make a lot of money, you know." Da, 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 da. And then he just calls up and he's like, "Yeah, so Wendell's gonna replace me." I was like, "What the fuck?" You know. So then after I was like, "Whatever." So I just did it. I just did it. And then I said, "Never again." After that, right? So now he comes at me yesterday and he's like, "So I think we're finished with the training, but he goes, if you want to stay here," and I'm like, "Nah, Mo, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna call dispatch and I'm gonna see if I could go somewhere, you know." And he's like, "Well, why are you gonna go somewhere? This is within driving distance. You still get to go home." And I said, "Yeah, okay, but," he goes, he goes, "We're looking for somebody for the night shift." And I said, "I can't work night shift." And he's like, "Why not?" I said, "Because I cannot." Straight up. And he's like, "Okay, but the night shift is good money. Like, you know, if you want, I could put in." I said, "Mo," I said, "you're not listening to me." So what I said was that I do not work the night shift. I worked 1 week night shift over at Jackfish and I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I don't want to have to fall asleep and be wake up to freaking supervisor tapping me on my shoulder, telling me like escorting me off the plant. Like I don't want that. So no, I cannot work night shift. Straight up. I've tried it, and that's it. So then he was just like, he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you know," he goes, "So the only other thing is that if you want to stay here, I can put you on day shift, but I can only pay you as a safety watch." And I'm like, "Why am I gonna stay here to get paid as a safety watch? I'm a lead, I'm a foreman, I'm a trainer. Why am I gonna, you know?" I said, "No, Mo, it's all good." And he's like, "Oh, okay, so you just don't want to make money. That's what it is." I'm like, "How am I making money here as a safety watch?" I'm like, "Buddy," I'm like, don't bring this up again." And I said, "I've let dispatch know that I don't work night shift." And he goes, "Oh, well, why did you let dispatch know? They're not in charge of it." I'm like, "Buddy," I'm like, "Don't worry about it." I said, "I don't work night shift. Period. So don't ask me." I said, "I'm gonna wait for a day shift for a job at day shift," and that's it. End of story.
Can I
So
ask you
then,
something?
yeah, go ahead.
Is this guy on the same tier as you, or is he a higher
Oh,
up?
oh, he's higher up. He's a superintendent. So he's kind of like first he was a regional what do you call it? He was a regional director, which means that he goes to
Okay.
different locations and then he just,
Yeah.
but now for this location, he's a superintendent. So he's kind of like a general foreman, but just under a general foreman, but
Okay.
he's
Now, does
above
he
the
have a
foreman.
boss? Does he have a
Sorry?
boss, or is he the
Oh yeah,
highest one on
oh yeah,
location?
yeah. No, 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 no. They all have a boss. Like he has a boss, yeah.
Well, then maybe it's time to address his higher up.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Simple, because you know what? When I can't get through to somebody that I'm working with that's on or a supervisor or somebody, nah, I say, okay, I see that, and I go to the top, frig that, because you're not supposed to overstep unless you can't
That's right.
deal with that person, right? So you're
Right.
never supposed to go to a higher up unless you can't. But when it comes to the point where your supervisor is on you like that, and trying to create these situations and trying to paint a picture of you that's not right, you need to
Yeah.
address it higher up, Wendell.
Yeah. But
Because
that's
what
just
is the, sorry?
no, because he's just like that. So I'll give you an example of just his personality. So one day, I can't remember what day it was, but anyways, when I first started there, like maybe Tuesday or Wednesday last week, and
Mm-hmm.
I usually leave my rings at home, but I forgot to leave my rings at home. So I get there and I'm taking my gloves off, and he looks at my rings and he just grabs my hand and he's like, "Oh, those are really nice rings. Where did you get those?" I'm like, "Oh, I got them at a mall near my house, you know." He's like, "Oh, so if I give you money, you're gonna pick me up two of these?" And I'm like, I'm like, so I'm thinking, okay, I'll do him a favor and maybe that'll shut him up, right? So I'm like, "Well, I don't know." I said, "These rings were like, I think 80 to 80." I said, "What's your ring size?" And he's like, "Oh, I need 10 and 12." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, so you have bigger fingers than I do. So it's probably going to cost you a little bit more." I said, "I'll say like 200 for both of them, you know?" So then he's like, "Okay." He goes, "I'll send you the money and then you go and get them." So I said, "Okay, cool." So 2 days pass, and I'm just like I was talking to somebody about my reports, right? Because you have to fill out these driving reports so that you get paid for your mileage. So I'm filling out the reports, and then he comes over to me and he's looking at me writing, And then he picks up my hands, and I'm just like, what the heck? You know, he's just touching my hands, like, look, he's going like this to both my hands. And he's like, where's your rings? And I'm like, what? He's like, where's your rings? I said, they're at home. I'm like, why are you asking me where my rings are? He goes, well, where are my rings? And I'm like, what? He's like, where are my rings? You were supposed to get me some rings. I'm like, no, you were supposed to give me money. And he's like, oh no, I told you I was gonna. I said, no, I don't work like that. So then after so I just thought, you know, he's like, oh, he goes, so where'd you get them? And I told him, I said, I got them at Marlborough Mall, which is near my house. If there's a train station, he goes, oh, I know where Marlborough is. Oh, okay, I'll just go and get them then. So I said, okay, right? So then 2 days pass now, same thing again. He comes to me and he's like, we're talking, and I was just leaning up against the counter, like waiting for my food in the microwave. And then he's like, so did you get those rings for me? And I'm like, what? He's like, did you get those rings for me? I thought you were getting those. I said, dude, I said, you told me you were going to. I never said that. I never said that. I'm like, wow. So this is how he is. That's a perfect example
And
of
this is
how
this
he
same
is.
guy?
Same guy. Same guy. Yeah. And he wants me to work with him. And I'm just like,
I think you should take his fucking job. Excuse my. Did I just say that? Oh God.
and hear this. So here's this. Here's this. Talking about taking his job. Talking about taking his job. So last year I was at this other location, and I was and he was there as a, like, he was just coming in to check out the stuff, the place, right, to make sure everything was going smooth. So he comes to me and he's like, and this is when he was asking me, he's like, do you want to be a foreman? And I said, well, what does a foreman do? And then he told me what a foreman does. And he's like, well, I see that you're showing these guys how to do the job properly and you're really good at it. So I think you'll be a good foreman. So I'm like, okay. I said, so how do I go about doing the foreman? He goes, buddy, he goes, you tell me right now you want to be a foreman, I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen in 48 hours. I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I thought he was just BSing me, right? So I'm like, whatever. 2 days later, we're sitting in his office and he's like, okay, he goes, I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to rig in a system using the air. And then I'm going to give you some notes that you're going to need to know as a foreman. So I said, okay. So he took down the notes. Da, 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 da. He's like, okay, I want you to study them. And then tomorrow I'm going to ask you these questions and you're going to answer them. So I said, okay. So I take them home. I study them. I come back. I answer all his questions. And he's like, okay. He goes, so you know what? Now you're a foreman. So he goes on the phone right away. He's like, hey, are you looking for a foreman? Are you looking for a foreman? Are you looking for a foreman? Oh, okay. Then he goes to me, he goes, do you want to move to Grand Prairie? I was like, what? He's like, do you want to move to Grand Prairie? I said, when? He's like, right now. I'm like, at the time I was with a girl, I was with a girlfriend at the time. I'm like, well, I said, I have to like freaking figure all this stuff out. I said, I have a girlfriend and stuff. And he's like, no. He goes, you need to understand, in this job, you can't have a girlfriend because you can move at any time. And we don't wait until you deal with your girlfriend. Like, you got to go. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I don't want this position at all. Right. So then after he was like, okay. He's like, okay, fine. And then he pops that same thing again, right? Oh, okay, fine. So you don't want to make money? Okay, I get it. You don't want to make money. I'm like, buddy, I said, it has nothing to do with money. He goes, no. You just told me you don't want to make money. I said, I never told you that I didn't want to make money. I just told you that I have a situation. So anyway, and this is how we butt heads all the time. So that's why the minute I
Okay.
see, I'm like, oh my God, problems, right?
Okay. So did you ever think, I don't know, because the way I see it now is, look, this guy saw you working on the floor and you were being and doing something that he couldn't do because he has a problem with communication. So he said, let me get this guy up to foreman and get him the fuck out of this place because he's a threat to me.
Okay. I didn't really see it that way, but I could see why you would see it that way. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
My
It's okay. But yeah,
phone fell.
that's a good
Yo, but
point.
come on.
That's a
Come
very good.
on. He sees you as a fucking threat. He wants you out of there. And then he wants to knock your confidence and he wants to attack you at every chance he has to make yourself question yourself and what you're doing because he's trying to break what he initially saw. You're a threat. And as long as you give him the entertainment of being engaged with this fucking idiot, sorry to put it like that, he's winning.
Yeah. So let me tell you that. So let me tell you another scene. So you're
Okay.
pretty much on point because there was one point where I was doing again I was doing that safety the breathing training, And
Uh,
he came to me and he's like, so where's the tickets? And I said, what tickets? He's like, you didn't give them tickets? And I said, no, I never got any tickets. He goes, well, what's your name gave you this girl named Fi? He goes, this girl Fi. He goes, Fi gave you tickets. I said, no, Fi didn't give you tickets. He goes, come, let's go. So we go and we're sitting in front of Fi. And then he's like, didn't you give Wendell the tickets? And then she's like, no. She goes, Wendell doesn't have any tickets. So I'm looking at him like, So then he's like, okay, but didn't you just tell me before that you went to give tickets to Wendell? She's like, yeah, I gave them to Wendell, but so then he looks at me and he goes, okay, so she just said that she gave you tickets. How come you're telling me that you did get a ticket? I said, whoa. I said, first of all, we're talking about the SCBA tickets. We're not talking about the fit testing tickets. And he's like, well, why is she giving you fit testing tickets? I'm like, she's right over there. Why don't you ask her? I said, I didn't tell her to give me the fit testing ticket. So now he feels like he feels like he's there for nothing, right? Like he made a mistake. So what I was waiting for was him to say, "Oh, sorry, I messed up or whatever." Of course, it didn't happen.
it won't happen.
So instead, what he does is he twists it so that I'm the idiot, right? So then
Yep.
he's like, okay, so what you're telling me is that she gave you the tickets for the fit testing and you thought that it was for the SCD. I said, I see what you're doing here, Mo. And I caught him right away. I said, I see what you're doing here, Mo, but you know what? Like, no, it's not like that. And then he goes, Wendell, come with me outside. I'm like, okay. I said, I go outside and he's like, why are you always arguing with me?
Yeah,
Why
you're a
are you
threat.
exactly? So he's like, why are you always arguing? I said, buddy, I said, I'm not arguing with you. I said, I'm trying to tell you something and you just keep twisting it to your advantage to make it look like I'm an idiot. I said, I'm going to tell you right now. I said, I don't appreciate when people try to make me look like an idiot because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I know what I'm doing. I know that I was sitting there. I know that I had the fit testing tickets. The SCBA tickets were not there. I know. So don't tell me that they were there when I'm looking at the freaking ticket and the ticket says on it, the fit testing ticket, it does not say SCBA. And he's like, okay, so I'm gonna have to call Dave. Maybe he forgot to give it to you. I said, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But at the end of the day, I was right, and I told you what you asked me. So moving forward, let's not make that
Okay.
assumption.
And Wendell, you called him out on his own mismanagement because he's
Mhm.
the superintendent of the whole fucking
Exactly,
place. All right.
exactly.
So you know what?
And he replies
You're a
like,
threat.
why are you giving me attitude? I'm like,
You're a
attitude.
threat to him.
Anyway, so I'm happy to not have to go back there, just with him there at the same time. Because he wanted to keep me there. I know he did because that's his power, right? Like he
Well, yeah,
feeds off
because now when you're a threat, he wants to keep you close now. Now he's
exactly.
tried to get rid of you, but now that he's seen how you've called him out on his inadequacies also, oh shit, okay, let me keep this guy close. Because what
Yeah,
is he going to go and tell everybody else now?
that's right. Yeah,
People act according to intentions. So you got to watch people's intentions before you watch what they're telling you.
that's right. That's right.
And everything that you've told me about this guy, where it started from, and wanting to bump you to foreman, to all of a sudden try to play with your confidence, break your confidence down, pull you out of the dynamics that you were actually, hey, yes, come on. And then you call him out on his in and I get it, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
You know,
Listen, when
and
I
that's
look
what
at
it
the
is.
big picture, this guy is scared of you. You're,
Exactly.
and I don't mean scared physically, the
No,
man,
no,
but
no.
the
I know what
man
you mean.
fears
Yeah,
his
I know what you
job.
mean. I know what you mean.
He
And you know
fears his
what?
job.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because that means I'm doing my job
Yes,
properly. So,
that's right. So that's what I want you to see out of it. Don't see that this guy keeps playing with you. This guy sees you as a fucking threat in his field.
hmm.
Simple.
Because
So
even like
yes, he's
when
going to give you a hard time because he's going to try to force you out of there.
yeah, because even when I was doing the instruction, Dave was like Dave was my boss, right? So he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna loan you Wendell, but after that, he goes, Wendell belongs to me until the end of until the end of his contract. Like Wendell belongs to me. So then after he was just like, oh, he's like, yeah. He goes, that's fine. He goes, maybe we could do a trade or something. And then he starts laughing. And I'm like, so I'm looking at him like, why is he trying so hard to take me away from Dave? And now it makes sense. It's because of that power that he wants to have over me to make me because he knows he knows that he gets on my nerves. I know for a fact. He knows exactly how to get on my nerves. So I know that once he has that to his advantage, now he could come to me and be like, "Oh, you have attitude," or "Oh, take it down a notch, or else I'll write you
That's
up," or
right.
whatever, right? So
That's right.
I
That's
can't
right.
work
He
that way.
wants to dim your shine because it's shining brighter than his. And that's what
Yeah,
people do.
yeah.
Instead of
Sad.
saying, oh, wow, I could have this great guy with these great communication skills on my team and it can reflect me. Let me boost all of that because it makes me look good at the end of the day. He's trying to crush you and he looks at you as a threat. That's
Yeah,
somebody who's very self-indulged.
yeah, and it's fun. Oh, very self-indulged, and it's funny because when the day that he gave me like the training and all that stuff and tried to put me into that other project, he was like, "Whatever you do, don't make me look bad." And I said, "Okay, no problem." And I went and I did my job, and I've never made him look bad. But yet, when I come back full circle, he's like, I remember the first day I saw him, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and every time when I called him, his phone was always either out of like off or whatever, or his voicemail was full, right? So the first time I see him, he comes out and he goes, "Let's come." He goes, "I want to talk to you for a second." I said, "Okay." So I go outside and he's like, "So first thing. So by the way, you're welcome, eh?" And I'm like, I look at him like, "You're welcome." Like I don't get it. Like what are you trying to say? He's like, "Well, you never said thank you for giving you all these jobs as a foreman." And I said, "Okay." I said, "You know why?" I said, "Do you ever check your phone?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Do you ever check your phone?" I said, "Did you change your number?" He's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, so check your phone." So he goes and he looks at his phone, and I'm like, he's like, "Okay, I don't get it. What am I looking for?" I'm like, "You're looking for a voicemail that I left you about 2 or 3 times. You're looking for a missed call because I called you quite a few times and your phone was either off or out of service or I don't know what the heck. But don't tell me I never tried to reach out to you because I've tried to reach out to you many freaking times. And you know what? I'm not gonna chase you forever. I call you 2, 3 times, you don't answer. I figure you're busy, so I'm not gonna bother. And I figure now that I see you, I tell you thank you. So I appreciate what you've done for me, and thank you for making me a foreman because you did help me make some money this year. So he's like, okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Let's go back in the trailer. Let's like,
Okay, well, he did that because he saw your greatness and he wanted to have a handle on you because you're a threat to him. And that's simple as that. And that's how people maneuver. And that's why people keep people smothered and feeling not good about themselves because then they have that control over them. So, yeah, I think you need to take his job. You see, that it seems crazy, but Wendell, when I deal with shit like that, that's my
yeah,
response. I'm not going to hate you. I'm just going to take your job.
like show you how to
That's
do it.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll retrain your ass and give you your position back. I love to do that. Oh yeah.
That's funny because you're not the first person to say that. Like there's a couple other people that I spoke to that said like they said, "Oh yeah, you should have taken that Grand Prairie job," and I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, because you would have showed him that you could have done the job better than him." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay, well that's nice," but I didn't think of it that way, at
You
that
don't
time.
need to go to Grand Prairie to do that because you're already doing that and he's scared of it.
Yeah.
And hey, again, I salute you because you got a lot of shit on your plate and you're still able to intimidate another guy who's a superior to you and not by doing anything intentional, just by being you. Hey, great job. High five from far.
Yeah, because he was
Seriously,
just
I think, you know what? Look at it as it changed the perception of how you see this guy now.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because he will not get on your nerves anymore once you see the situation for what it is.
Hmm. Yeah,
Now you'll be more apt to play.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Yeah,
Amazing. So, how much time you got? We've been just shooting the shit, eh?
yeah. Say about got another 5 minutes.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll give you the floor to say your piece for this morning and then we'll sign off. And tomorrow morning we'll be back live.
All right, sounds
Do you
good.
want to pick a topic for tomorrow morning or you just want to wing it?
Uh, I don't know. It's like I find that when I pick a topic, Okay. We really get into it, which is fine, but then it kind of comes to like a not a stop or an end or whatever, but it's just kind of like, okay, now what? Whereas if we just pick something, it just seems to just like it just snowballs
It
into
flows.
something.
It
And I
flows.
think that's a
Okay, cool.
strong point, you know. So I think we should just like, just
Wing it.
play it by ear. Yeah, play it by ear, So yeah.
Okay, well,
But
before you take the floor, Wendell, I have to tell you again, I thank you and I appreciate you because you coming out here and venting about the stuff that's going on in your life, it helps people. People can
helps me
see and
too.
relate to it, right? And
Yep.
this is the point of it all. We get out here and we just spill our guts, and people are going to take from it what they will.
Yep.
And I know for a fact, people are taking some really great stuff from our lives. So, again, Wendell, thank you very much. And I'll give
You're
you the
welcome.
floor.
You know what's funny? All throughout this chat, I didn't notice this, but now as I'm about to close off, I'm looking and we're both wearing the same gray today. That's weird. I don't think we ever wore the same color ever. That's weird.
Aligned.
Yes, align. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. We had a really good talk today about people and having to deal with certain challenges that come to us. You know, I've come to the conclusion that when we go through certain things, we just think that okay, we're just dealing through things, right? We're just dealing with it with the best of our ability for the most point. Some people struggle with that. Some people excel in that. You know, Me personally, I find that not really that I excel in it, but I'm comfortable with it because of the fact that I'm just a strong believer that negative energy is very powerful. If you start your day positive and you have a positive mind and you have a positive outlook on certain things, then, you're going to see the positivity in everything. A lot of people think that, excuse me, a lot of people think that, you know, being positive is just a cover of being negative. When in actuality, you know, if you're negative about certain things, you bring more negative energy towards you. And then it just gets out of control. You get in a situation that you really can't get out of. And, whether it be financial woes, whether it be a relationship situation, you know, not to call anybody out, but I had a friend. This was something else actually that I was kind of dealing with a couple days ago, and one of my friends, she was dealing with this guy who was very possessive and controlling, and he locked her in a basement. If you could believe that, and I'm telling her
I
that,
can. Yeah, I
yeah,
can.
okay. So I'm telling her, you got to get out there. She's like, oh, I can't find anything. I'm like, she showed me the basement that she was in. I say, you see that lamp? You grab that lamp and you go upstairs. And if he comes at you, you throw that lamp at him and you
She's
run to the other
currently
room.
locked in a basement.
I don't know what this situation is now, but when I was talking to her at the time, that was the situation. So, um, yeah. So she was like, I don't know what to do. Da, da, da. And I told her what to do. But the reason why I'm bringing her up was just simply to say that, you know, everybody thinks that, they're going through something and that it's the worst thing that they could go through. Whenever you think that you're going through something bad, there's always somebody that's going through something worse. And it's very important that we reach out to these people and we try to give them a positive outlook so that they have that belief, because that's all they need. They just need that belief for 5 seconds that, you know what, I can do this, or I can get out of this situation. I can do, I can make myself a better person. I can be positive. Like, this is what I am all about. I am all about changing that pattern of thinking from negative to positive, and how to keep it going positive, because it's easy to be negative, positive, and then go back to negative. It's very easy. It's too easy. And that's why people are struggling with this repetitive chain of, you know, disappointments and, stressful situations and that sort of thing. So if we can change the way that we're thinking, because this here controls pretty much how
Everything.
our whole body rolls, right? Now, how we control this is based on how we're feeling. So our feeling sometimes controls how we think or the decisions we make and that sort of thing. So if this is not clear, the whole thing turns into this huge, horrific, chaotic mess. So I'm saying all this to say try to keep a peace of mind, try to stay focused on one thing at a time. A lot of people like to multitask. There's nothing wrong with multitasking. Knowing what you have to do at all times is one thing, but you have to do one thing at a time. You have to finish one step before the next step. Some things require 3, 4 steps at a time to be done in order for the whole process to do. So that is an exception, but for the most part, we got to think of one thing at a time. Our brains are programmed to do that. We focus on one thing at a time while we're aware of the other things. Not to think about them, not to dwell about them, not to be obsessed with them, but just to be aware of them. So to stay positive, keep that mind clear, keep your mind clean, keep thinking about positive stuff, forget about the negative stuff. Negative things are going to happen. We have no control over that. What we do have control over is how we let that negativity affect us. They can affect us in a good way. They can affect us in a bad way. It all depends on it all depends on us, how we decide to deal with it. So just stay positive, stay the course, and we're going to be okay. That's all I got to say.
All right. So then I thank you again, Wendell. I'm going to wrap it up this morning on the floor. All right, guys, look, I was talking at the beginning of the live. A lot of people are having a hard time unleashing themselves from their own past and all of the emotional effects it's having on their own bodies because of the toxicity of the past. Listen, go back. What you do is you allow your body to relive those memories, consciously knowing that you are going to feel the effects of it. Infuse the love for yourself. When you start feeling all of that terror and fear and all of those emotional charges that are locked in those memories, heal them. How do you do that? Show yourself the love that you needed during those situations. How do you do that? Consciously tell yourself that you're loved and that you're okay. But you have to do that during, okay? Not after. You have to go back into those memories, unlock and unharness the feelings of them, allow yourself to feel them and heal them with love. It's the only thing that's going to do it, okay? Talking yourself down is not going to do it. You have to heal your past so you can go on from it. Now, that said, guys, own your power, own your greatness. Honestly, don't put anybody before your wellness. When people are coming at you, there's intentions behind that. Understand that intentions they're very dominant before any word or any action to follow. Okay? Don't get caught up in the words of what somebody's telling you. Don't get caught up in the actions that are being inflicted towards you. Choose to own your power, your greatness, and what sources your life experience. That's unconditional, infinite love. Seriously, work in alignment with yourself. Put yourself in an unconditional loving state for yourself first. Your wellness matters. If you're not okay, nothing else is okay. Doesn't matter what the hell is happening around you. Seriously, own that stuff, okay? Guys, you see a limit, get creative. You see an obstacle, it's an opportunity to learn about yourself and to grow. Don't react, respond, okay? Nothing in this life is good or bad. It's all for learning, and it's unique to you. That's why I say seek your own answers, because I don't have them. Wendell doesn't have them. You have them for your own journey. Because I can tell you something proudly, none of you have the answers for me. So I encourage you all to find the answers for yourselves. Love yourself enough to do that. Get past the conditioning, the brainwashing, and everything else your life is consisted of. Own your journey. your experience and your uniqueness of it all. What another person thinks of you is not your business. What you think about yourself is what matters. Think good thoughts about yourself because you matter the most. All right? I love you all. Get the most out of your day. And I'm really happy to be back out here again with you guys after being refueled for my weekend. Trish, I see you there telling us to have a good one. Trish, I love you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for coming back out here this morning. I thank every single person that comes out here. All right? You guys mean so much to me. All right? And your wellness does too. Wendell, love and light, my brother.
Love and light, my sister. Actually, before I shut out there, Vince, have you heard from, like, how's Vince doing?
I believe that Vince has gone back to reconnect with family that Vince is healing.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say. Vince is healing, and I encourage him. And I love him, so I push it out there for him.
Good. Okay.
He's healing. And that's what we all need to do so that this happens the way it's supposed to. So this time that it's taken is to benefit every single one of us.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear.
And you see, right now, Wendell, yes, you're going through the thick of it, but trust me when I tell you, just like I've had to go through my thick of it, he's going through his thick of it, you're going through your thick of it too. And why? Because when we're all coming up out of it, and okay, I get chills when I think of that. Okay?
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it now. Woo!
So that's why don't get down on yourself, man. Keep yourself the way you're doing, high vibe. High vibe it through every single thing because it's all meant to work in our favor.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's hard, but I salute you because you're doing a really great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You don't know how much that means to hear that. So thanks. Thanks a lot.
No, but that's serious because anybody else, I'm sorry, they would have broken down. They would have quit their job. They would have been on a bottle. They would have been in a dump, in a depression, and using all kinds of excuses for it. And you're not. You're rising above it all, and you're getting the most out of your days, and you're seeking out new challenges, and you're still embarked. Come on. Hey, ha! I salute you.
Thank you.
That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not easy. But you're doing it like a champ.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that's why, don't give your power to any of these losers that want to bully you and break who you are because they're intimidated by your greatness.
Right. That's what it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, for sure. So that just means, hey, yes, your greatness is being seen.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
It's true. Don't dim that shine. Don't dim that shine, not for anybody.
Nope. That's
all right, have a great day.
Right, you too.
Get the most out of it. Love and light. Peace.
Love and light. Peace.
I love you all out there and get the most out of your days. All right. Peace out.
Have a good day. Till next time.